Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope everyone had a Merry Christmas. Over the holidays is always a super busy time for me, just like anyone else, I'm sure. So I was not able to post a lot, but I did get to watch Sister Wives. I have been keeping up with that, and while I wish I could have did recaps for every episode, I was unable to, but I've decided I'm going to do a recap for this past episode because this past episode was very interesting. We know that ever since COVID hit, the family, the Sister Wives, Kody and the Sister Wives, they've had different views on how to live, how to quarantine, the rules they should follow. And that's basically caused a lot of hostility within the family. Ultimately, we know that Christine and Kody, they have separated, and I think this was a lot of the reason that led to that. During COVID, they were separated a lot. He was not going over to visit a lot. She was choosing to, travel and things such as that. He did not like that, and we know now that they are split up. They are spiritually divorced. I don't know if there's like a process that you go through. I don't know if, like when you are legally married, if you have children, it takes like a year before you can be legally divorced. So I don't know about spiritual. I don't know if it's like a year, 6 months. I don't know. Or I don't know if it's just like the time you leave and you say, I'm done. If you're whatever, but we know they're not together. So this week's episode of Sister Wives, it was season 16, episode 6. No Head Wife is the title, but I think the title should have been something more along the lines about the nanny, because all of this talk, all of this, these problems within the wives or within the family, because the wives aren't abiding by these rules, he's not going from house to house to house. They're not letting the children see their siblings. But we find out that there's a nanny going in and out of Robyn's house. What in the world is happening here, you guys? Really, what is happening? And I'm kind of like Christine. What does the nanny do? Like, what is happening here? Robyn, I don't think she works. Like, I think she's at home. And with COVID, is Kody working or is he at home? So what exactly is going on with the nanny? And is she really following these rules? Because throughout the show, I noticed that Robyn said at one point that she was following these rules and that the nanny was following these rules. And then at another point, I noticed that she said something about, oh, well, Kody came up with a list finally. What do you mean finally? If these are the rules that you and the nanny have been following, how did he finally come up with these rules? So I don't know, you guys. I'm not believing that these are the rules that they had beforehand. I think when they were really getting pressed about the nanny, it was like, oh, well, we gotta type these rules out and be like, this is what she goes by. But I don't think these rules were really, maybe it was verbal, like, okay, you need to do this and this. But I'm like, if you can't see your wives, but you're letting a nanny come in and out of the house, do you really know what the nanny's really doing? Like, it's the holidays. The holidays are coming up. How do you know that the nanny's not allowing her family to come into town? Do you really know that? Do you really know that the nanny and her husband on the weekend, they're not going to the movies? Do you really know that the nanny and the husband really aren't going to hang out with friends on the weekend? Like, how do you really know that? You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no way for you to really know. And this woman, she's employed by you. So she may just say, oh, yeah, sure, I'm sticking to the rules because she don't want to lose her job. Half of America is losing their job due to COVID. So this woman's like, sure, yes, I'll sanitize. I'll change my clothes. I'm not going to see family. I'll send my husband out for curbside pickup when we need groceries just so she don't lose her job, So anyways, we're going to go ahead. We're going to get into the, we're going to go over this episode. But like I said, the title is No Head Wife. I think it should be something along the lines of, I'm sorry I have a nanny, but that's not what it is. Now, right at the beginning of the episode, Janelle in a confessional, they showed, clips from last week's episode, and it showed Janelle saying, I'm beginning to worry the longer this goes on, we may not be able to recover. And obviously we see that it's gotten to that point. Their family was never able to recover from COVID because ultimately they lost Christine. And I think Janelle may be on her way out as well. Like, Mary was one that I always thought would leave. Mary's there to stay. She's already made that known. Like, hey, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I would like for me and Kody to have that type of relationship, but I understand that we may just be friends and that just may be what it is, but you're not going to get rid of me. On last week's episode, she literally said that. Like, I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. You're stuck with me. But Janelle, on the other hand, the preview for next week's episode, it appears that Janelle may have cursed at Kody. Something along the lines of F this, F that. I don't know. Something. We'll see next week. So this episode starts out with Christine. She is back from Isabel's surgery. They were gone for about 6 weeks, and Kody comes over to visit. They talk about Isabel's surgery and how Kody wasn't there. In a confessional, Kody does talk about how if he could go back in time, he almost thinks that he would just go, because now he worries how this is going to affect her when she gets older. Will she hold resentment towards him because he didn't go? When he sits down with Christine, Christine basically tells him that she held up okay. But Isabel did not, and that Isabel, while she understood why Kody wasn't there, that she was really hurt that he wasn't there, and that even the doctor was shocked. You know, she said the doctor mentioned something about when your husband gets here, and she had to say, well, you know, he's not coming, and the doctor was shocked that he couldn't be there. At one point, she does ask Kody, she said, if it wasn't for COVID, you would have came, right? And he assures her, yes, if it wasn't for COVID, I absolutely would have been there. In previous episodes, Christine has talked about how Kody has been there for every one of her appointments, physical therapy, everything she's ever had done in regards to her scoliosis, that he has been there. So I do think if it wouldn't have been for COVID, he would have been there. But he does seem to have like some regret over not going. And he does seem to say, like, if I could go back, I think maybe I would go. I'm not sure. I really just wished it could have been pushed off a little bit, but I get why it couldn't, because Isabel was in a lot of pain. You know, she's been dealing with scoliosis for several years now. Her scoliosis was really bad. If you see the x-rays of her scoliosis, you know that it was really bad. She was in a lot of pain. She really didn't have much of a choice but to get it done as soon as possible, you know. So after they talk about the surgery, Kody basically tells Christine that now that the surgery's over, they need to go back to quarantining and not going out that much, you know, going out with masks, her being the only one that goes out, grocery shopping, you know, get back to living by the rules so he can start visiting again. Christine doesn't seem like she's happy with that. She basically tells Kody that he was only at her house like a couple times a week anyways, that he would be there like maybe twice a week or whatever. But living the way that she's been living, she can see more of her other family. She's like, you know, if I live this one way, yes, I get to see you a little bit. But if I live this other way, I get to see the kids. I get to see more of my family because they're okay with visiting. You're only okay with visiting if I lived cooped up and quarantining and all this other stuff. And, you know, as much as I want to see you, I prefer to see the rest of the family all the time versus seeing you, you know, just a couple times a week. Then they get into this, kind of this debate over how much he would go see her, like how much time he spent at her house. And he says that there was a rotation before COVID. He would be at Christine's house 2 days, and the following 2 days, Janelle, the following 2 days, Robyn, and it went in that rotation. And Mary was not in the rotation because he did not go spend time at her house because they have more of a friendship, not a romantic relationship as husband and wife. So he said, you know, I was here 2 days out of the week, every few days, and that's what it would go back to if you would go to living a way that could be safe for the rest of the family. And she basically says, in a confessional, she basically says, Kody would show up at my house at 5 p.m., eat dinner, you know, we would watch a little TV or a movie, but the whole time he would be on his phone, whatever, and then we would go to bed, and the next morning he would usually get up and be gone before the girls even woke up. So he really wasn't spending that much time at the house or with the girls anyways. So if they're not really going to get to see their dad when he's coming and we're going to have to abide by all these rules, how about just get to see more of the family more often? Kody, he kind of debated her on that a little bit. He's like, no, I wasn't here just one evening. You know, I was here 2 days, you know, every couple of days. She basically just shut that down, saying that she would rather see more of the family. They then start talking about the holidays and, you know, what they're going to do for the holidays. And they decide they need to make some sort of plans for that, and to make plans for if they're going to get together for Thanksgiving or for Christmas, they're going to have to get the rest of the family together. She brings up the nanny. Christine tells him that it's ridiculous that she has to abide by all these rules, but Robyn and he have a nanny that is coming in and out of the house, that the nanny gets to see the kids, but yet her kids can't see their siblings, and they're upset about that. That her kids are aware that there's a nanny coming in and out of Robyn and Kody's house that gets to see their siblings while they do not. She tells Kody that it's ridiculous and she does not understand it. And she says she does not feel like the nanny is, you know, abiding by all these rules just to be able to see the kids, to be able to go into that house. So anyways, at one point, Kody does say that everybody has to make a choice if he's going to be involved in their lives or if they're going to be going off on vacations. Also, in a confessional, he talks about how truly, when she, after birth, at some point, she had kidney failure, and COVID, nobody really knew in the early stages of COVID, like how it could affect who. Like there was like talks of, you know, if you have a problem with your kidneys, if you have lung problems, that you could be affected more than, you know, just your average healthy person. So that was one of his concerns. You know, Truly's had kidney problems. So I'm doing this for her as well. So you need to recognize that. Where she is just like, I think it's too much. I think it's too much. So she brings up the nanny. He leaves aggravated. She's frustrated. The next segment of the episode is Mykelti and Tony. They are having a gender reveal party. Now, they are at Christine's house, but everybody's kind of quarantined in their own little parts of the yard, you know, with each family. Mykelti wants to do a home birth, but her husband, Tony, is a little hesitant because of, you know, issues that could come up. If you're doing a home labor, God forbid something go wrong, you're not at a hospital. So he has concerns that are absolutely valid. But apparently in their family, home birth is kind of the way they normally would go. I think Kody said that he and Christine, they had one birth that was in the hospital that was fine. The majority of his other children were home births from what I recall him talking about. But Mykelti, she is very much wanting a home birth. So they decide they're going to do this gender reveal by using elephant toothpaste. They have this like 5-gallon bucket set up on a table in front of everyone. And they add this little concoction together where it's supposed to foam over, and what color the foam is. You know, if it's a girl, it's going to be pink. If it's a boy, it's going to be blue. However, it did not go as planned, and the foam came out this like pale, almost like a dull orange color, I guess you could say. Obviously, everyone was like, oh, I don't know what it's supposed to be. I don't know what the color is. I was like, oh, well, yeah, obviously it's a girl. While it's not pink, it's nowhere near blue, right? So everyone was like, we don't know. But Christine got up and she unbuttoned her shirt to a pink shirt that revealed it's a girl on it. They had a backup plan just in case the elephant toothpaste did not work out that well. And it didn't. It did not work out that well, which I still thought everybody would know. Like it's not like it was like a dark purple, you know, because then I would be like, okay, it's a blue, right? It was a pale color. So I just kind of imagined meant to be pink, right? Anyways, so later on in the episode, Kody and all the wives, they show up at Miri's house to talk about the holidays and their plans for the holidays. Kody tells the wives that he has a list of rules that the nanny follows, and that if they want to do the holidays together, they will need to follow them as well so they can have Thanksgiving together and Christmas together. As he's passing out the paper, he gives one to Robyn. He actually asked Robyn, he says, do you want one? And she says yes, so he hands one to her. But as he is handing one to Robyn, Miri makes a joke and says something along the lines of, those are the rules that you made up. Robyn got super defensive. She got super upset. And Miri seemed to be joking. She really did. Like, she was like, that's a joke. I'm teasing. And Robyn got really upset, and she held her hand up and she told everyone to please stop being so suspicious of her, that Kody was the one that made the rules, that it was not her that made the rules, and she would really appreciate if everyone stopped blaming her for the rules. And Mary, once again, apologized and said, I really did not know that it was that much of a situation. I'm sorry. I did not mean to bother you or upset you. And Robyn and Kody both told Mary that it wasn't about her or what she said, but it was more because of one of the kids actually called Robyn and told Robyn that they would like for her to loosen up on the rules. Like, one of the kids called Robyn and was like, hey, so Robyn, do you think you could kind of loosen up on the rules, because we're sick of them, And Robyn was like, hold up. This is not me. I'm not doing this. This is your dad. Now, how many people think that Robyn's behind the rules, and how many people think that Kody is behind the rules? If you think that Robyn made these rules up, or she's the one enforcing these rules, leave that in the comment section below. If you think it's Kody, leave that in the comment section below. I don't know. Like, a part of me is like, I think it's Robyn, but then there's another part of me that's like, Kody might would have given in by now, maybe. Like, if this was something really Robyn wanted and he wasn't like 100% down for, at this point, all the pushback that he's getting from his wives and his kids, I think he may would have given in at this point and be like, okay, Robyn, we got to stop. Like, we're not having holidays. Like, everything's just going crazy. So we're going to have to give in a little bit on the rules. Like, if it was Robyn, I think. I don't know. So you guys leave me your thoughts about that in the comment section below. Who do you guys think is behind the rules, and who's really enforcing that in Robyn and Kody's house? Who do you guys think it is? Either way, Robyn was like highly offended with this phone call. In a confessional, she kind of breaks down crying, saying that if anybody really thought that she would be the one behind these rules and enforcing the rules, they don't know her that well, because she would never want to cause this much of like a disruption in their family. It's not their culture, and their culture is for them to be together and spend time together and spend the holidays together, and she would never do this. And for anyone to think that she would be behind this, they just don't know her that well. So she was very upset that this is being put on her. So that's one thing that I would really like to know, as upset as she is, if we were to find out that she was like the real one behind it, like if later on Kody like somehow let it slip that it was like Robyn, I'd be like, and you cried so hard about how it's not me, it's not me. So if we found out it was her, what a fakery, right? How fake would that be? But so I don't know. I'm kind of torn. Sometimes I think it's Robyn. Sometimes I think it's Kody. So she does tell the wives that if there is talk going on in their homes, that's leading the kids to believe that it's her, then she would like for that to stop. And I think she has a point there. Why do the kids think that it's Robyn? Do they think that it's Robyn because they hear their mothers say that it's Robyn? They hear the mothers talking, or the mothers talking to them, saying that they think that it's Robyn more than Kody? So I think she has a point to say, like, hey, I don't know where the kids are getting this idea that it's me, but if you guys are saying that in front of them, please stop. It's not me. And I think it was actually one of Janelle's sons that may have made that call. I don't see any of the other kids being the ones to make the call to Robyn to say that, except maybe some of Janelle's boys. And Janelle got really quiet when Robyn made the comment that someone called her, that one of the kids called her. So I think it was one of Janelle's boys. In a confessional, Janelle does say that she is suspicious of the rules, that for months she was asking, hey, what do we need to do so we can get together? Like, how can we make sure we can all get together and spend time together? And nobody ever said, oh, well, we have a list of rules. We'll get that to you. We'll send it over. We'll mail it to you. We'll drop it off. Nobody ever said they had these rules ready to go. So she's like, now all of a sudden that the nanny comes about, that we find out there's this nanny over there all the time. Now it's like, oh yeah, we got rules. The nanny had the rules. She's been abiding by the rules. Here you go. Here's the rules. So she's very suspicious of these rules and where they've been all this time. And I'm like, me too, girlfriend, me too. And the fact that I heard Robyn say, like, oh, Kody came up with these rules because everybody's asking. And then later on, I hear her, like, them make it out like they've had these rules. I'm suspicious of the rules too. I think the rules were thrown together after Christine brought up the nanny. That's what I think. Christine asked if they follow the rules, will they be able to get together, for the holidays? And Kody basically tells them, yeah, you know, like if you guys follow the rules, we'll be able to get together. Now, this is before they even really look at the rules and read them. So they start reading the rules, and it's a lot. Don't go to restaurants. Order takeout. Everything you bring into the house, clean off. Mail, clean off with Lysol wipes. No visitors. If you go grocery shopping, do roadside pickup. Everything that you bring in your house, you have to wipe off. Alcohol wipes. Change your clothes. Every time you go out somewhere to like shops or to someone's house or anything, before you come inside, take your clothes off, wipe down, Lysol. And they just said, you know, it's a lot. It's a lot to do every time you go somewhere. And they are just very suspicious of the nanny. Now, earlier in the episode, before the nanny was revealed, Robyn did make a comment. She said, we don't have visitors and we don't go visit. But girl, you got the nanny. You know, like the nanny is coming over, and I just don't see how they could be so sure of what the nanny is doing. Like, there's no way they can guarantee themselves that the nanny is really abiding by these rules, especially because they just typed them up. Like, girl, as soon as Kody left Christine's house and she called him out on the nanny, he was like, oh crap, I gotta get home and I gotta get on my computer. I gotta type up these rules. I gotta act like the nanny's been abiding by these rules. Like, that's what he did. We know he did that. So they're all sitting there outside of Mary's house, kind of talking about the rules. You know, if they follow the rules, will they be able to spend the holidays together? One thing that I noticed is from the time that Mary made that joke, she ain't said nothing else. Mary ain't said nothing else. It's basically been a conversation between Janelle and Christine and Kody for the most part. So they're asking, like, if we follow the rules, are we going to be able to get together for holidays? And he's like, yeah, we can. And then they're like, well, too bad, because we don't like the rules. This is way too much. The rules are ridiculous. Nobody does this. Nobody's doing these things. Janelle, she tells Kody, she's like, the rest of the world, they're not doing this. Like, yeah, they're doing some of these things, but nobody is doing all of these things all of the time, and it's a little ridiculous. Like, that's a lot to ask of us, you know, to do. She's like, I have kids that have a life and they're doing things, and I can't ask them to put their lives on hold to do all of these things every time they want to see the family. Like, they're just not going to do it. So he basically says, you know, Janelle, I'm asking this of y'all so I can see you, so I can see the kids, and so we can get together for the holidays. Kody tells his wives that they need to take the rules as scriptures, like apply them to their lives like they would apply the scriptures in the Bible to their lives, which they're not having that. Janelle says that she believes that even if they were to abide by the rules, she does not think that they would get together for the holidays. She says she is at her wit's end with COVID and with these rules. Janelle tells Kody that she thinks it's over the top. In a confessional, she tells us that even though she is super attached to Kody and her family, that if she had to choose between seeing Kody and the rest of the family for the holidays, and then, you know, seeing her kids and letting her kids kind of continue to live their life and not abide by all these strict rules, then she's going to choose her kids. She's like, every time I'm going to choose my kids. Yes, I'm super attached to my husband. Yes, I love him. I would love to spend the holidays with him and the rest of the family. But I'm choosing my kids every time, and that's just the way that it's going to be. And Kody talks about that in a confessional as well, and he says, you know, these are not kids. Mine and Janelle's children, they're not little kids, they're grown men, and the fact that she is choosing them over me, it worries me. Like, we obviously don't have the connection that we need to have for her to choose me over our adult children who's not wanting to follow the rules so we can be a family together, so we can get together as a family for the holidays. And he says something along the lines of, you know, if this is a struggle right now, like, what's it going to be in years down the line? You know, how much of a struggle will it cause in their relationship years down the line? But, you know, I would think if they were in a normal marriage, not a plural marriage, if it was just Janelle and Kody and he was at her house every day, then she probably would choose him. But when you have someone that's not even at your house every day, like 2 days out of the week, and during COVID, like during the height of COVID, Kody wasn't there at all. He went months and months and months without being there. So her life has revolved around her children because she has only had a husband part-time. You know, in reality. She doesn't have a full-time husband for the most part. He's not there every day. So her children, she's talked about this on one of the prior episodes, her children is what her life revolved around. So she's going to choose her children, you know. So maybe if they had a normal marriage where it was just her and him, maybe she would choose him, but that's not the case. Christine tells Kody that she is going to see Aspen and Mitch for Thanksgiving, and that they've invited Mykelti and Tony and Peyton over. So she says she really just wants a nice sit-down Thanksgiving with the family where they're not worried about rules and COVID and stressed out about all that. She just wants to be able to be with family and relax and hang out. So that's what she's going to do, and she's going to do it by going to see Aspen and Mitch, and then some of the other family members will be there as well. Janelle is going as well. She's going to go to be with Aspen and Mitch and Mykelti and Tony and Peyton. And she does say, you know, that while she's not going to be there for Thanksgiving, she says she will give the rules to the kids and they will try to make sure they're there for Thanksgiving. I mean, for Christmas. But at this point, Janelle and Christine, they're both going to miss Thanksgiving. They're going to go be with other family that's not requiring all of these rules and guidelines. After that is established, that, you know, okay, we came here to figure out the holidays. Thanksgiving is what's coming up. What are we going to do? Okay, you guys are going to be here. The conversation turns to Mary. Robyn asks Mary, like, hey, you haven't said anything this whole time. Like, what are your thoughts? What are your feelings? And Mary just says, like, this conversation really doesn't concern me because you guys are talking about the holidays. I'm going to be here. I've abided by the rules. So I don't really have to say much because I'm going to be here. And, they were kind of shocked. Christine and Janelle was kind of shocked to find out that Mary has been abiding by the rules. They both said, like, wow, we are shocked to hear that she's been abiding by these rules. She lives alone too, so that must be super lonely for her to be abiding by these rules. And really for what? Because she hasn't really gotten anything out of it. Kody doesn't come visit her. The only reason, like, the only perk that she has is when the family does get together is she can kind of intermingle, I guess you could say. But one of the reasons that she stuck by these rules is because she wanted to be able to visit with Robyn and Robyn's kids. Mary is super close to Robyn's kids. So that was kind of one of the reasons why, but they've never allowed that. And Mary said, she said, you know, Robyn, I've told you several times that I'm abiding by these rules. But you just kept telling me, no, you can't come yet. And Robyn tells her, she said, I know that you have, but I've been waiting on word from Kody. I needed Kody to give me the go-ahead that you could come over. Because if he didn't, and then, you know, we started hanging out, then it would seem unfair to Janelle and Christine. And they would wonder why we were breaking the rules. So Mary was like, well, no, like, everyone knows that I've been quarantining, or, you know, I've been abiding by these rules. We could have just told everybody. That's why we're hanging out. But you've been knowing this, and I just don't understand why it's taking this long to be brought up. And Kody says, like, okay, yeah, Mary, you and Robyn can hang out. Y'all can schedule a play date together now so y'all can hang out. And Mary's excited about that, but she's a little bothered that it took this long. She's like, I've been living this life for months, abiding by rules for months. And Robyn has known, and I know that Robyn talks to Kody, and I know that Robyn has told Kody, hey, Mary's, you know, she's abiding by the rules, and they still haven't allowed me to come over. When I've asked Robyn, it's been like, oh, well, not yet. We don't want to, you know, we don't want the other girls to think that we're being unfair. So Mary kind of called her out on that, and to her face, Robyn was like, well, I've been waiting on Kody to give me the word, and I didn't want it to seem unfair. Now, in a confessional, Robyn says, yes, I knew, you know, that Mary was quarantining and everything. And Kody told me, yeah, you and Mary can hang out. You guys have been both quarantining. You guys have been sticking to the rules. Yeah, you and Mary can hang out. She said, but I told Kody, no, you can't break protocol without talking to all the wives. You need to let all the wives know that this is going to happen. And he wouldn't. So I couldn't hang out with Mary because I didn't want the other wives to think that we were breaking the rules. I needed Kody to let them know. So in that confessional, she says that Kody told her that she could hang out with Mary because her and Mary were being extra careful. But in person with Mary, she tells Mary, I've just been waiting on Kody to give me the go-ahead. So her story's conflict a little bit versus confessional to Mary's face, but whatever. I guess in the end, her main concern was, okay, if we hang out, then the other women will wonder why. But at that point, all you got to say is, well, Mary lives alone and she quarantines. She's sticking by the rules, so that's why. The same reason, you know, Kody tells them that he's at Robyn's all the time. Well, Robyn sticks to the rules. That's why I'm staying at Robyn's. She abides by the rules. You know, other than the fact that she has a nanny over all the time, but whatever. He doesn't have a favorite wife, right? So anyways, Christine, in a confessional, she says, at one point she says, you know what COVID has brought out in our family? How much we really want to be a family. And then she says something along the lines of, obviously not a lot. I mean, it seems like that. It seems like if, you know, that's some rules to follow, you know. But at the end of the day, if you are really concerned about everyone's health and this is what the doctor's telling you, I don't know. You guys let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Do you guys think they should have followed the rules, or they shouldn't have followed the rules? Or do you guys think that before it come to the point to where they're not doing holidays together, they really should have figured something out? But it seems like they were all pretty headstrong. Like, Kody's headstrong and I'm not budging with the rules. And they're pretty headstrong on these rules are ridiculous and we're not going to abide by them. So at that point, it's really like, what do, you know? As they are leaving their meeting, Christina and Janelle and Kody, they leave. Robyn, she and Mary, they have a conversation. And she just says, you know, like, I'm ready for you to come visit. I'm sorry it took so long. And they give each other a hug. Mary kind of breaks down. And once again, she's like, I don't understand why it took this long. Like, I don't understand. You've been knowing, so I just don't understand why it took so long. Once again, Robyn tries to explain, you know, I didn't want the other girls to get mad, thinking that we were not following the rules. So I needed them to understand that you were following the rules. And now that that's been established here in front of them, now they know why we will be able to get together and hang out. And that's the end of the episode, essentially. The end of the episode is Robyn and Mary discussing them being able to hang out and why it took so long for that to happen, even though Mary was following these rules. Preview for next week's episode, it shows Janelle talking to her sons, and one of the boys just saying, like, I haven't seen my dad in 8 months, so of course I'm going to rebel a little bit. He's sick of it. Janelle seems to be a little aggravated. She tells Kody once again, you know, she's going to be out of town for the holidays. Kody seems to get upset about that. She storms off, saying something along the lines of, F this, F you, something, F that, you know. I wish I would have wrote it down so I would know exactly what she said. But next week's episode, it's going to be a good episode. Tensions are high at this point. The holidays are right around the corner, and they cannot figure out what to do so they can be together. So they're just kind of going on their own way. Christine's going to be with some of her family where she don't have to think about COVID and rules. Janelle's going to be with the family where she don't have to think about COVID and rules. And Robyn and Kody and Mary, I guess they will spend the holidays together. So that was this episode, you guys. Blown away that they have a nanny. I'm like, why did it take this long for the nanny situation to come out? I kind of feel like that was like something they were hiding on purpose. You know, like in Christine, she just got so irritated where she's like, I'm done. I'm done hiding the nanny. I'm going to talk about the nanny because I'm sick of it. You know, at this point, she's had her daughter have surgery and the dad refused to go because of COVID. All the while, he's got a nanny coming in and out of the house every single day. I think I would be a little aggravated too. And I think if I was Christine, I would blow the lid off the nanny as well. I think this was a secret that everybody knew. And I think they were all tight-lipped about it because they knew it would be a bad look for Robyn and Kody if it came out that they had a nanny while being so strict on the rest of the people about who came in their house, you know. So, yeah, I think everybody purposely kept that a secret, but Christine just got fed up to the point to where she let the cat out of the bag. Now, I did see on social media somewhere that Robyn and Kody were caught somewhere, like in the mall or somewhere, without a mask, shopping. And that was just like a couple days before Christmas. So, I don't know, you guys. It seems like maybe they're either loosening up on some of these rules, or maybe they really weren't so strict with these rules to begin with. And maybe this was like a part of the show. Maybe they were just using, you know, strict rules as a storyline. Because they were caught out and about without masks, shopping. I think it was like in a mall or somewhere. I'll try to find the picture and I'll post it for you guys to check it out. But yeah, that's this week's episode, you guys. Leave me your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll try to make sure I can do a recap on next week's episode. Let me know, are you interested in me doing these recaps of Sister Wives? Leave me your thoughts. Give this video a thumbs up, and until next time, I'll see you guys later. Goodbye, everyone.